You know that feeling, right? You're practically drowning in data. You've got dashboards for your dashboards. But when it comes time to make a real decision, crickets. Nothing happens. Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dig into this huge shift away from just looking at data to actually building with it. All right, let's get right into it. And yeah, that really is the core question, isn't it? For years, the big buzzword was data-driven. But for so many of us, that just led to being data-rich and, well, decision-poor. The hard truth is that a lot of traditional dashboards just become these pretty interactive dead ends. They're a place where information goes to be seen, sure, but not really acted on. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off by putting a name to that feeling, analysis paralysis. Then we'll get into a really cool framework called the data triptych. After that, we'll look at the two main ways companies are trying to structure their teams to actually make this stuff happen. And we'll wrap it all up by looking at what a real data product looks like in action. All right, first up, let's talk about that feeling of being stuck, of being paralyzed by too much information. It's this classic trap that holds so many companies back. And frankly, it's only gotten worse with all the data we have access to now. And hey, it's an old saying because it's true. Data that doesn't lead to an action is basically worthless. I mean, we can stare at beautiful charts all day long, but if it doesn't help us make a better choice or automate a painful process, then what's the point? It's just a distraction. And this is exactly where the whole idea of a data product comes in. It's something designed not just for you to look at, but for you to use. So, if the end goal isn't just another dashboard, what are we aiming for? The answer, or at least a really good way to think about it, is this framework. You can think of it as the North Star for any data strategy today. It really boils down to three things. First, just improve the quality of information. And that's not just about being accurate. It's about making data easy to get and easy to use. I mean, that's table stakes, right? Second, evaluate scenarios. A decision is really just a choice between options, and data's job is to show you those options and their trade-offs without bias. And third, and this is the real magic, automate actions. This is where you use data and business logic to just make things happen automatically, no human required. And that's the beauty of this framework. It scales. Whether you're building a simple little alert system that pings you when something's wrong, or you're building a super sophisticated AI, if it's a real data product, it's serving at least one of these three goals. It's a tool that does something. Okay, so we've got the what. We know what we want to build, but now for the how. And you might think the tech is the hard part, but honestly, it's usually not. It's the people, or more specifically, how your teams are set up to work together. To build a real data product, you have to get your data nerds and your app developers in the same room, rowing in the same direction. It requires intense collaboration. You can have the smartest data scientists on the planet, but if they're not in sync with the business and product teams, you know what you get? More friction. And yeah, more dashboards that nobody acts on. So that leads us to the first common way companies try to solve this. You can think of it as the traditional model, where you have a central data team that basically acts like an internal help desk for the rest of the company. Now, let's break this down, pros and cons. The upside here is that you get one team that's totally laser-focused on getting the fundamentals right, data quality, governance, all that good stuff. But the downside is a big one. It almost always means the data team's priorities are disconnected from what the business needs right now. This creates bottlenecks, friction, and just slows everything way down. And this is the key insight, really. This data as a service model isn't supposed to be the final answer. It's more like a necessary first step. It's like learning the alphabet. You have to do it to build your foundational muscles, but it's not the novel. It's a phase you have to grow out of. Which brings us to model number 2, the evolution. This is the embedded team. So instead of having a separate central data department, you take those data experts, your analysts, your scientists, and you put them right inside the product and application teams. They become one single squad working on one goal. But of course, it's not a magic fix. This model comes with its own very real set of challenges. First, finding leaders who are fluent in both data speak and product speak, good luck, they're like unicorns. Second, the pressure goes through the roof. Data isn't for some internal report anymore. It's a live, critical part of your customer-facing product. And finally, your data teams have to grow up fast. They have to adopt all the mature practices that software teams have been using for years, like CI/CD, which is really just about shipping better stuff faster and more reliably. But even with all those hurdles, this embedded model is pretty much becoming the default for any company where data is a core part of what they sell. Think about any modern SaaS or fintech company. Why? Simple. It's the only structure that gives you the speed and the tight alignment you need to build these kinds of integrated data products. Okay, enough theory, enough with the org charts. Let's make this super real. What does one of these data products actually look like and feel like to a user? Let's picture a supply chain analyst. Their whole day is just this insane juggling act, right? They're trying to manage inventory, predict shortages, track orders. It's the perfect recipe for analysis paralysis. So to do their job, what do they need? They need to see stock levels, of course. They need alerts, but not just, hey, you're out of stock. They need predictive alerts, like, hey, you're going to be out of stock in 3 days. They need to track all the moving pieces, approve transfers. It's just this constant churn of gathering info and making small decisions. Now look at this. A true data product doesn't just give them a dashboard with all that information. It goes a step further. It automatically drafts the reorders for them. It sends them smart alerts. And this part is huge. It prioritizes their to-do list based on what's most urgent. It even escalates tasks that are overdue. You see the difference? It's not just showing data, it's doing the work. And this takes us right back to our 3-part framework. The product improves information, it helps evaluate choices, and most importantly, it automates all the repetitive, low-value work. This frees up our analysts to use their actual human brain on the hard problems, the high-stakes decisions that really need a person's judgment. That's the ultimate payoff. So we'll leave you with this to chew on. If the most valuable products going forward are the ones with data and automation baked right into their DNA, does the line between a product team and a data team even make sense anymore? As data stops being a report and starts being a critical feature, maybe every team is becoming a data team now.